Hello, everybody. My name is Sammy Dalati. I am senior editor for the magazine Antiques. As you will already know if you've watched any of the other streams on this channel. And just a little caveat before I get started. This is the first stream that I'm doing with a presentation, so I've got to switch between various tabs. And if it gets a little slow or awkward at some point, please forgive me. Working out the kinks as I go. But I'm excited for this one. I'm going to be breaking down the Outsider Art Fair, or rather giving a sneak preview of the Outsider Art Fair in New York at the Metropolitan Pavilion, opening to the public tomorrow and running until Sunday. So if you're unfamiliar with Outsider Art, this is the show to get your feet wet at. It's going to be a good addition. Unfortunately, I am missing it because I am currently in Mexico City. This is where I'm based now. And on that note, I realized my branding for this stream is a little off, but I'm going to the gym later tonight. And I thought it was excessive to take 2 showers today. So you get me with a hat today. So before I jump into going over some of the things I am looking forward to there being in galleries at the Outsider Art Fair, I'm going to be taking through a number of galleries and basically just pointing out one or two works from each gallery that seemed especially interesting. I wanted to give an overview of the term outsider art for any of you who might be unfamiliar. It's something that you've probably been hearing a lot more about over the last few years. It's something that's really gone mainstream, which is actually antithetical to its nature. So outsider art is as much a brand today as an accurate descriptor, but traditionally describes makers who, for whatever reason, geographical, income-related, whatever social atomization label you prefer, produced their work alongside but completely separate from mainstream art world trends, artists, systems of support, whatever else. There were some who clamored for it and could not find success, such as Eugene von Bronkenheim. I would definitely encourage anyone, really anyone, doesn't even matter if you're terribly interested in Bronkenheim himself, but to go and visit the Kohler Art Preserve in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Yes, it's a jaunt to get up there, but incredible museum. They have an entire gallery setup that recreates Bronkenheim's home's footprint, where you can see his sculptures made out of chicken bones from KFC, his psychedelic paintings, his portraits of his fetching wife, and maybe even a self-portrait. I don't actually remember if there's a self-portrait of him when I went. But anyway, Bronkenheim was someone who thought he was really smart, hence the von in his name, but never achieved mainstream success. Typical outsider artist. But some others are just, teen girls who drew scenes from their lives, like the newly discovered artist Mary P. Corbett in the 1950s, who I'll be going into a little more about somewhat later. For these sorts of situations, I sort of like the term private artist because it doesn't imply that if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, it doesn't exist. I mean, these artists existed, they created their work, and perhaps they, institutional recognition is not everything. And so you get work from outsider artists that is wildly different from the mainstream art trends of the 20th century. And it really has been a revelation to a lot of mainstream critics when it's broken onto the scene in the past few years. Now, to toot our horn a little bit, Magazine Antiques has been, ringing that bell for decades at this point. But what can you do? What else can I say about this? With the rise of social media, the currency of the term outsider and also the advent of supportive apparatuses such as the Artists of Googing in Austria, collectives like that, it is much more difficult to be a true outsider in society and in the art world than it used to be. Rather, we've returned to any artist who is outside merely being someone who is as yet undiscovered. If you search the hashtag outsider on Instagram, sorry, this is the Artists of Googing in Austria. If you search the hashtag outside artist, whatever else on Instagram, you're going to find people who are consciously signaling their distance from the amorphous, ironical, contemporary art world. Contemporary art, whatever that means, invented in the late 90s as a term. Like the work of this artist, who, though a garbage man in the city, dreams about a cottage in the Upper Peninsula, or Abigail Toulis, who I wrote about a couple of years ago. And I've dropped a link in the description of this video if you want to read that article. Very interesting. She is currently based in the Netherlands, last I heard. Now, before we get into the meat of this presentation, I want to remind you to please tap the bell. Sorry, subscribe first, tap the bell, like this video, comment. You can comment in the chat. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to see the chat while I do this presentation. I'm doing it on something called like Duckyard or StreamYard. I'm trying to figure out where all my tools are for this initial go around. But please, interact with us a little bit. I really appreciate it. Once again, I'm Sammy Dalati, senior editor at the magazine Antiques, and this is a sneak preview of the Outsider Art Fair. So, to get into things, the first thing that caught my eye was the work of Gregory Horndeski at BG Gallery, which is based in Santa Monica, California. Horndeski is a name that's unfamiliar to me. He was a former college professor with a PhD in applied mathematics, and he has an unorthodox technique, which includes mixing acrylics with water and pouring that mixture over canvases a la Jackson Pollock, and then rearranging the pigments with a palette knife. For me, this picture, this painting of what looks like an evergreen on a golf course, and which is called Pipe Bomb for Golfers, is giving Ted Kaczynski. Nothing against people with Polish names, but more because of the pipe bomb, probably is not real, but which is affixed to the bottom of the painting, and the artist's STEM background. There are other, other works by Horndeski at BG Gallery, landscape and plant-based usually. And in classic outsider form, think William Hawkins. For several of these, he has embroidered, he has decorated the frames with micrographic writing or musical notation. I should note that Seurat also did this. I was reading a quote by Horndeski, and it made me think of another quote by, I believe, Daniel Chester French, who told a client that sculpting a passable work was very easy for him. But what took the time with every commission was doing better than he knew how to do. That's where the suffering came in. Daniel Chester French was, of course, a famous sculptor of the 19th and 20th century and a professional working artist. And I thought that juxtaposing that quotation with one by Horndeski sort of illuminates, obliquely, the difference between professional working artists and outsider artists. So Horndeski says, some artists feel trepidation when looking at a blank canvas. I have never had that feeling. The guy inside me who knows how to paint and who lives only to paint steps in, pushes me and my worries aside, and takes over. So take from that what you will. Moving on, we have Creativity Explored, San Francisco-based, celebrating its 30th anniversary. This year, it was founded by an artist and psychologist couple to reinstitutionalize, in a manner of speaking, artists with disabilities, at least in the context of the art world. They are showing a number of more established artists, but the one who caught my eye was Kevin Roach, who is, as you can see, much inspired by Mexican art. He said that Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera's art makes him come alive, as evidenced by this life-size ceramic bust of a luchador, which itself almost seems like it is coming alive. I had to put this in because, as I mentioned before, I have relocated to Mexico City, and a couple weeks ago had the pleasure of taking in a luchador fight here at the famous Arena Mexico after reading a very interesting article on luchadores on Last Estate a couple months ago. For those of you in the know, viva que bonito. Now, if you're just joining us, please be sure to subscribe and tap the bell. I am Sammy Dalati, senior editor for the magazine Antiques, and this is a sneak preview of the Outsider Art Fair in New York, which opens tomorrow at the Metropolitan Pavilion in New York and runs until Sunday. All right, moving along. On view at Alexander de Julio in East Hampton is Mark Saban, another professional sort of guy, law graduate and formerly in the film industry. And what's sort of interesting about the works by Saban, I'm not actually sure about that, they're being shown at de Julio, is that they're a bit different from his usual work. So Saban is known for he's extremely prolific, and he's known for these tableaux vivants, which are composed of figures with this weird, mannequin vibe, essentially. But de Julio is instead showing some mid-1970s work that is in the surrealism plus naivete, Henri Rousseau vein. Noteworthy for the depiction of people in sympathetic proximity to usually fierce predatory animals like tigers and leopards. I had to include two because they're so funny. The one on the left is called Poseurs. It reminds me of it's got the hunters with their South Park-esque first grader asked to smile for school pictures, smiles a few feet away from the animals they're probably going to hunt. And then, on the right is Hampton Classic, a well-dressed woman on a horse riding side saddle, surrounded by peacocks. You're also getting a bit of Peaceable Kingdoms, Edward Hicks vibes from this sort of work. It's cool stuff, and do check out Edward Hicks's Peaceable Kingdom if you don't know what that is. It's this prelapsarian grouping of literally the lion lying down with the lamb, also with like angelic kids, in the nascent United States, and he did multiple versions of this painting to be found in galleries across the United States. Okay, moving on. At New York's Andrew Edlin Gallery, some more big names: Morton Bartlett, Henry Darger, who I will not go into, as well as one of the well-known graphite and tempera horsemen, paintings by Martin Ramirez, a Mexican laborer in California who was institutionalized with schizophrenia. If you'd like a little more information, we recently published an article written by Antiques' editor, Greg Serio, on our website. I have put a link along with the link to the Abigail Toulis article in the description of this video. But my favorite piece at Andrew Edlin actually is the work of Ray Masterson. So Masterson was given a 15-year prison sentence in his early 30s for stealing. And his way of passing the time and avoiding the attentions, the molestations of the guards, was to take up sewing. His fellow inmates nicknamed him Betsy Ross. And this baseball card or portrait, I thought it was a baseball card, but it's described as a portrait of Yankees outfielder Aaron Judge, is sewn from sock threads. On that theme, sort of, bad pun here, at Herschel and Adler Modern, which of course also has a well-known antiques department, the works by big hitters, Bill Traylor and James Castle are on view. Always interesting. Bill Traylor got his plaudits a couple years ago, which was famously the time of a review by Jerry Saltz that really rung in the high times for outsider art that we're enjoying now. But again, what caught my eye here, and I've mentioned here before, are the Archie S. colored pencil cartoons of Mary P. Corbett. I should have put another image there. You've already seen this one, but I went past it pretty quickly at the beginning. Blondes and brunettes in pumps, tennis skirts and sweaters. There's also that girl with a literal horse face. Next to heroic Van Williams in the Green Hornet-esque figures, cavorting in a mid-century landscape of soda fountains and swimming pools. Corbett was recently discovered, I should say, and she was making this work as a teenager. Basically, it's a visual diary, though obviously with some fantasy elements, of the exigencies of adolescence. So definitely check that out. I want to reiterate that if you're just joining us, then I am Sammy Dalati. I'm the senior editor for the magazine Antiques, and this is a sneak preview of the Outsider Art Fair at the Metropolitan Pavilion in New York, opening to the public tomorrow and running until Sunday. All right, moving along. So, Enrico Maresca in New York. They're playing the hits as well. Martin Ramirez, Bill Traylor, Adolf Wolfe, William Hawkins. Hawkins was another artist who famously painted the borders of his canvases and the frames. Leopold Strobel, a personal favorite of mine. Check out his doctored photographs, usually small scale. I think they were certainly accessible to most buyers a couple of years ago. I'm not sure that they are so much today. But the gallery's headliner this year is Ian Ferguson, who you may have noticed based on his collaboration with brands such as Converse, Vans, Red Bull, Flavor Paper. You know what? Nope, I forgot the slide there. Well, I'm sorry. So you are not looking at Ian Ferguson right now, but you can search his name. That's IANFERGUSEN. Look for work that is, this Mad Max / medieval tapestry style, maximalist work, dark, inspired by the Baroque, maybe in conjunction with, branding exercises by those brands I named. Sorry for that mistake. One of the hiccups from trying out a new way of doing these streams. But I guess we're well set up for the last gallery I'm going to be talking about, which is Yukiko Koide. And this is the work of Yuichiro Ukai. I actually paired Ukai with Ferguson because I thought their work was relatively similar. It's maximalist, it's tapestry style to an extent. But anyway, getting into, I still have it up? Yes, I do. Getting into Ukai, who was first exhibited in the West in 2019 in France. He also works, as I said, in this maximalist style, pulling his ideas from from manga, and from illustrated guides to reptiles, monsters, dinosaurs. And you can see some of those examples in this work. There's a dinosaur skeleton near the center of the composition. There's some monster with red eyes eating a person or about to eat a person at the lower left. I mean, this thing is just chock full of fascinating detail. And, you know, the negative space, this orange background is interesting as well, merging as it does with the garments of some of the characters, such as the figure at lower left and well, this is maybe too small for all of you to see unless you have your screen or this video full screen. But anyway, fascinating work. Definitely check out more at Yukiko Koide. So Ukai also works at the Atelier Yumanami in Kyoto, which is sort of like a Japanese analog to the Artists of Guging. So that is it for me in terms of the things that caught my eye when I was looking through the images for the exhibition, for the fair, excuse me, which again opens tomorrow, runs until Sunday. Antiques will be running more coverage of the fair. Kate Waddell, who is the former art director for Art in America and is an outsider art collector herself, will be making selections that will run on our Instagram channel, which is at Antiques Mag. Definitely check those out as well. And before you go, I want to take just a moment to plug some of the other videos on our channel. We have a series called TMA Explains, which explains objects in the antiques, fine arts, decorative arts world, from Chippendale chairs to the credenza form to a painting, a destroyed mural by Diego Rivera. They're short, they're snappy, they're easy to understand, they're visually engaging. Check those out. We will also be debuting a video from this year's edition of the Winter Show featuring Ben Miller in conversation with a curator and collector. That will be coming in the coming days to our YouTube channel. So once again, please subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, leave a comment on this video, like this video, interact with us. We've got more coming to you. And I am happy to see you all here and look forward to interacting some more and bringing you some more information about art in the coming months. Once again, I'm Sammy Dalati, senior editor for the magazine Antiques, signing off. Go visit the Outsider Art Fair.